regular council meeting on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, in council chambers, Sparta Township Municipal Building, 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. The time is 7:02. All council meetings are now live stream and can be viewed at the following link, www.youtube.com/SpartaTWP/streams. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the public and press on January 10th, 2025 by delivering to the press and posting on the township website a copy of the notice. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Mark Scott.
Here.
Councilman Dee Blumetti.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. All right, let's rise and salute the flag. But before we do so, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Adam Garcia. Adam Garcia was a lawyer with the law firm of Halloran and Sisla. He represented Diamond Chip Realty. He passed away a couple weeks ago at the young age of 37. He leaves behind a wife and a 2-year-old child. He was an excellent lawyer. He was prepared. He was focused. He was forceful and never shrill. And although we may have been adversaries in law, we were not adversaries in life. So thank you. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business is approving minutes. May I have a motion to approve the August 12th, 2025 minutes? And Dean, you were not at this particular meeting, so if you would, sir, please abstain. So I need a motion to approve the August 12th, 2025 minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 12th, 2025.
May I have a second, please? And I will second it. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
I'll abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, we have 2 abstentions and 2 ayes for the August 12th, 2025 meeting minutes. Next up, Manager Zepp, could you please give your manager's report?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and Sparta residents. Whether you're joining us here in person or online, it's wonderful to see everyone on the first day of autumn. If you have a moment, please enjoy the fall-themed artwork displayed in the hallway near the public restrooms. The kids' mural is courtesy of the art project that was also displayed at the Sussex County Day event. The art project is a local Sparta business offering creative classes and events for all ages. The water main replacement along West Shore Trail is nearly finished. The system has been pressurized, sanitized, and tested. We are now awaiting final results. Thank you for your patience, support throughout this important project. If you entered Town Hall through the front doors this evening, you likely noticed the ongoing renovations to the Town Hall Plaza. These improvements will enhance public safety and create a more welcoming entrance for all visitors. It's almost time for Halloween fun at White Lake Fields. Haunted Ghost Walks for grades 6 and up, Friday, October 10th, 7 to 9 p.m. Our annual Trunk or Treat for younger children, Saturday, August 11th, 2 to 3:30 p.m. For details, please visit our website and check the Recreation Fall brochure and contact the Recreation Department. Congratulations to the Sparta seniors who participated in the Tri-County Senior Olympics on September 18th. Sparta placed 4th overall, with several participants earning individual medals. Well done. With election season underway, please refer to our website's news flash section for information on political signs and their location. I'm proud to announce that Sparta Township has once again earned the bronze level certification for sustainable Jersey. This achievement reflects the hard work of our environmental commission members, township employees, and residents, all dedicated to building a more sustainable community. The certification opens doors to grant funding, expert guidance, and training for local initiatives. Congratulations to everyone involved. This concludes my report. Thank you for your attention. Chief McCarrick will now present his portion of the report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Zepp. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Good evening, everybody. On Wednesday, October 1st, from 9 to 11, we'll be hosting our annual Coffee with a Cop at the Sparta Library. It's a great time for people to come out, meet with us, discuss any kind of issues that they may see, or just get an opportunity to meet their local law enforcement. And again, that's October 1st, 9 to 11 at the Sparta Library. On October 17th, from 6 to 9, we are also going to be hosting our annual community event, Hanging with Heroes, at the VFW. This event will give the public an opportunity to come out and meet our local first responders from police, fire, EMS, DPW, our local veterans. Our partners from the Center of Prevention and Counseling will also be on hand to provide information about CLEAR, which is Community Law Enforcement, Addiction Recovery, and Operation Helping Hands, and many other of our local partners will be out there. There'll be plenty of food, presentations, and helpful information and resources available. And this will also be an opportunity for individuals to drop off their unused or expired medication, as we have a medication drop box there, so it could be properly disposed of. Additionally, this year, we're asking for anybody who would like to bring a non-perishable item to be donated to the Sparta Food Pantry. And this event is not an event just for children. It's a community event. It's an event for everybody to come out and celebrate how wonderful our township is, and it's an opportunity for everyone to catch up with people that they don't know, or they do know, and to meet people that they don't know. So I'm hoping it will be as successful as it was last year, and we're looking forward and hope for good weather. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you cooking, Jeff?
I will be, yes. We'll be on the grill.
If
Me
you
and the
haven't
captain.
had Jeff's chili, I highly recommend it. It's fantastic.
It'll be a good night.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the manager's report?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, the manager's report is approved. We next are up to our first public comment period. This is limited to items that are not on the agenda, so take a look at the agenda. If there's anything you want to talk about on the agenda, now's not the time. That will occur later on in the meeting. Please state your name and address for the record. And please, each speaker is limited to one comment of no more than 5 minutes and no yielding of time to another person.
All right, so before I start, I'd like to ask everybody present, everybody here, including Spartans, governing body members, and anybody else, or other employees, just to take a moment and rise and take a moment of silence to honor the following people: Fletcher Merkel, Harper Moisky, Irina Zarutska, and yes, Charlie Kirk, along with any other victims of senseless violence in this country. I'd like to start that right now. Sorry. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. For the record, I'm Eric Aronson, a resident of Sparta Township. For those that don't know, Fletcher and Harper, they were fatally shot at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis on August 27th. Irina was fatally stabbed on a subway train in Charlotte, North Carolina on August 22nd. And Charlie was fatally shot by a sniper at Utah Valley University on September 10th. May they and all other victims of violence in our nation rest in peace and never be forgotten. Mayor Clark, this moment of silence I just held could have easily been held by you on September 9th council meeting, or even just moments ago. September 9th, the day before Charlie was killed, to honor Fletcher, Harper, and Irina's murders, but clearly their deaths were insignificant to you at that time. The deaths of Fletcher and Harper only became important to you when you showed up for the candlelight vigil that grieving Sparta residents, not the Township of Sparta, held on September 12th at Town Hall. You showed up not for the purpose of consoling or uniting the upset community, but instead for the purpose of agitating and dividing those present who were there to mourn. That's just plain sick and wrong. Though you claim it hurt you, that we had children die at a Catholic mass and I quote you, a damn single one of you came out for that. I ask why not a damn single one of you honored these precious angels at the September 9th council meeting or at a separate vigil that you could have held but didn't. You owe Sparta an apology for the way you, I'll quote you again, reacted emotionally. I call BS on this. In your career as a lawyer, that literally involves you being able to argue with people in a fashion where you regulate your emotions and maintain decorum of the environment. For your elected position as a council member, though it should not necessarily involve regular arguing, the decorum you maintain should be no different. However, Sparta's seen several examples now with your emotional regulation issues involving you screaming at local residents at council meetings, walking off council meetings when things don't go your way, threatening and harassing residents, and also degrading others on social media. Respectfully, I opine that you need professional help to work on your emotional regulatory skills. Interestingly, President Trump ordered U.S. flags lowered between August 27th and August 29th sunset to honor Fletcher and Harper. New Jersey also honored this. Yet Sparta, under your watch, did not follow either the federal or state government. Where were you? Guess their deaths really didn't hurt you after all. You lied to the people when you publicly said that you would need to have the consent of the council and hold a special meeting in order to agree to order the flags lowered. This is what you said at the vigil. Sparta Township flag ordinance, you know, you wrote it. You passed it during your first term in office, your first year in office, rather. Actually says that Sparta Township will follow the U.S. flag code. For purpose of recollection, I request you to check ordinances 2-67.1B and 2-67.4 subsection B3. You should be familiar with them. The U.S. flag code that Sparta follows says that the president, who we all know you dislike, may order the flags be lowered. The U.S. flag code also allows the governor, who we know you're friends with and are associated with, and we know doesn't respect the president, to also order the flags be lowered. Just because Governor Murphy chose not to honor the presidential order doesn't mean you had to be his minion. In the town's statement that you released, you cited an incorrect statute. One pertains to electronic notification that people can use to sign up for orders to lower the flag at a statewide level. There's nothing contained in this statute or elsewhere that requires the governor's approval for that. The only thing that stood in the way was your own feelings and your own personal agenda. You ran under a campaign promising no mega warehouses and to increase transparency to be a vessel of the people. So far, none of that has been achieved. Please just do us a huge favor. Resign before you continue to further divide and embarrass this town, yourself, and drive our beloved town into which you have no attachment to into further failure, especially financial failure. If you choose not to leave on your own good and free will, remember elections have consequences. I will look forward to either a recall election or someone else beating you at the polls. The quote, it takes a little more to be a Spartan. Thank you, Sparta, for coming together. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Good evening, Sparta representatives. My name is Kat Mateo, and I live at 3 Chapel Hill Court. And I'm a first-time mom to a 4-month-old baby girl. My daughter is enrolled at the amazing Garden Grove Preschool. As you are all acutely aware, the sole road leading to the preschool is dilapidated, and there is an ongoing dispute with the preschool's neighbor, who is the owner of the road, as to the much-needed maintenance. I'm happy to report that I have been able to open lines of communication with the school and counsel for the neighbor, and the dialogue surrounding making the necessary repairs as soon as possible is promising. I wanted to come here and provide you all with that update, but more than anything to thank those of you who impressively opened your doors to hear out the concerns that exist about the hazards that the road presents, and to discuss possible alternatives to help. Even though the town concluded that at this time it could not intervene, the insight, care, and concern offered was extremely appreciated. That includes Mayor Clark and Councilman Scott, who diligently responded to my email and directed my concerns to the town gurus who were best equipped to address it. The manager, Jim Zepp, who was extremely knowledgeable and immediately gathered resources to reassess the road. The police chief, McCarrick, Captain Ellig, and the sergeants who met with my husband and insightfully engaged with him about potential solutions. The town attorney, Mr. Dash, who took the time again to review applicable ordinances and analyze possible alternatives. The fire marshal, Mr. Stahl, who took the time to call me and explain the diligence that he had engaged in behind the scenes to reassess the road and its safety. To those of you who I reached out to but did not have the bandwidth to engage on that issue at that time, I look forward to engaging with you in the future in constructive dialogue about how to make our town better. Sparta is special, and there are many residents like me who are passionate about investing in our local businesses, uplifting our local schools, supporting our boys in blue, and making Sparta a place where families thrive. Thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to engage on this issue. I will keep you abreast of developments and will remain engaged until the road is repaired.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hi, I'm Dana Galino. I live at 26 Valley View Trail. This town, hell, this world, is not always the easiest place to live, especially for the activists and those who work tirelessly towards positive change. But Neil, I am proud to know you, to call you my mentor, my advisor, someone who always picks up the phone, but most importantly, to call you my friend. No matter where the chips fall, no matter what they say about you, lean in towards the people who know and love you. I thank my lucky stars for the day that Neil Clark walked into Sparta. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stacy DePrato. I live at 25 Benham Way in Sparta, of course. I'm here with some of my neighbors to speak to you about a concern that we have in our neighborhood of Sussex Mills. We would like to respectfully request that the Township of Sparta takes immediate action to help us to enforce the zoning and regulatory laws that are currently being violated in our community. For several months, residents of our community have raised concerns regarding ongoing zoning violations at two of the properties, specifically in Sussex Mills at 99 Lambert Drive and 29 Benham Way. 29 Benham Way happens to be my next door neighbor. These properties are located within a residential zone, R15, but they are operating at a commercial capacity. Both properties are being used as short-term rental accommodations. They're advertised on Airbnb as well as VRBO. They are functioning as hotels or rooming houses. They are not single-family residences. And I do know from my living next door to one that the owner does not live in the home or does not even live in the state. They live in Florida. Their driveways consistently hold dozens of vehicles packed on the lawn or the driveway, sometimes on the street. This past weekend, there were 20 cars parked on the property next door to my home, as well as a food truck that came in to feed what I was told was a wedding. To our knowledge, there are no licenses for rooming houses or hotels or bed and breakfasts in our community. And although we are aware that there was an ordinance passed and that ordinance can't be enforced right now because of an ongoing lawsuit, we feel that it's not really so much of a zoning issue with that ordinance. We have no issue with homeowners renting out their properties in a manner that's consistent with single-family homes, long-term residents who would be living there more than, say, 30 days. Someone who has been helping us, who wasn't able to attend tonight, has spoken to the fire official, Eric Stahl, and he's confirmed that the matter was referred to the zoning department, but we are asking for the township to follow through with more enforcement. Our neighborhood is zoned for single-family residences, and that reason is both quality of life and public safety. And the residents invest heavily in this community. We pay substantial property taxes to live in a safe, regulated, peaceful neighborhood. We are asking that you could perhaps help us with this issue as far as zoning, the health department, the number of people that are at these homes using the septic systems, all the things that go along with the fact that they are running as boarding houses. We've had just recently in our neighborhood, the other house on Lambert, which has a lot more activity than my neighbor because they have a swimming pool. All these things cause more guests to come, cause more issues. There was a woman who was drunk and passed out on the side of the road in our neighborhood in her bikini. The police came. When we call the police, they say that they can help us, but only if it's a noise complaint, and that would have to be after 10 p.m. To be honest, the noise isn't the biggest issue. It's the strangers coming in and out of our neighborhood, and it's often, especially in the spring and summer, every weekend. I do know that parties are being thrown, weddings are being thrown. There was a party bus that came down the street one day, picked up at least 15 people, all dressed in the same dresses, obviously, a wedding. And although they're not supposed to be advertising anymore, they still are, because I'm watching. I know that they told the previous zoning officer that it was just family using their home. I've never seen such a diverse family from every state in the country, but they've all been next door to my home. I have 3 children, and I like to know who my neighbors are and to keep them safe, and I know the rest of my neighbors feel the same way. So we're open to any suggestions or any ways that you can help us in enforcing.
Thank you. It is very distressing to hear that. We put a lot of energy and time, and we heard a lot of stories like yours, and that was the purpose behind the short-term rental ordinance.
Right.
And I think as probably was explained to you, it's under litigation. There's certain reasons why enforcement has to be pulled back at the moment. But I will say that I think we should look to alternatives besides that ordinance to alleviate what you're saying, because I know it's made, you moved in that neighborhood as a residential single family.
Right.
And you came to expect that, and your neighbors came to expect that, and that's not what you're enjoying right now. And it's upsetting to hear that. So I will tell you, we will look to ways of trying to alleviate this that may be outside the short-term rental ordinance, given that it's under litigation. But I will, pledge to you that we will look into that. I mean, we have good lawyers, we have good enforcement, and we have excellent police force. So again, I'm very sorry that has happened to your neighborhood. I know that's not what you want. And, we'll pledge to look into that and try to come up with an alternative.
Thank you. I think something that's, none of us are against our neighbors doing it the right way. If they want to come in front of the board and ask for a zoning variance to run a boarding house or a hotel or a bed and breakfast, that of course is their right. But they have not done that. They're just doing what they feel as if they want to do, to make money, obviously. I've noticed that.
Understood. I don't mean to cut you
No,
off
of course.
because we have a packed house. I want to move, so other
Okay.
of your citizens can have an opportunity. But
Absolutely.
and feel free to communicate with me and other council members about this issue. Our emails are on the Sparta Township website, and you can outline, more specifically your issues with this particular property.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Zepp and Mr. Dash, could you explain why we can't enforce our laws while we're under litigation?
It's not as simple as not enforcing the laws as well pending litigation. The matter is driven by a number of circumstances, not all of which may be appropriate for this forum. But in short, because there is an appeal pending to the appellate division and enforcement of that ordinance deprives a property owner of certain rights. If the appellate court were to reverse the lower court on that ordinance, those rights, those property rights could arguably be trampled upon. But there, as in many areas of law, there is not a black and white answer to why we cannot enforce. It's not entirely accurate to say that we are not enforcing. We recognize and appreciate the concern of the residents. In fact, that was the driving factor behind the short-term rental ordinance. The township takes its enforcement seriously. Again, appreciate that the issues are complicated, and the township is almost daily looking into how we can address the concern raised by the resident.
I'll defer to my attorney. He covered it pretty well. We are very well aware of the situation up at Sussex Mills. And we have been addressing it to the extent that I'm given guidance to address.
All right. If you want to come to public comment and then, or even you can send an email. So, all right, anyone else for public comment? Okay.
Yeah, Beth Broderick, North Shore. Do you have an update on the process for appointing people to planning and zoning?
Do you have any other, I can answer that, but any other comments? I don't take up your time.
I'd be good with a yes or a no, as long as it doesn't need most of my 5 minutes, because I do have a follow-up question, but depending on your answer.
We do have a process in place that we suggested. We're trying to, like I said, we want to put it as an agenda item for the people who have been, put their hat in the ring for those appointments.
So for those of us that have applied, and before your suggestion at the last meeting, are we staying in limbo, or is it going to be for future applicants, or is it a retroactive thing depending on whatever date you guys determine? Because I applied quite a while ago. There was a quorum. A majority vote said yes. Things happened. I still have no idea where I stand with being appointed to the zoning board. So I'd really like to know what the steps are. Do I reapply? Am I coming in for an interview? Like, what's going on? I don't think it's right that people who are committed to volunteering their time, whether it's, as you put, on this side where they're of the dais where they're better off, or up there where you guys are. Either way, I don't think that it's right that people are left in limbo for the better part of a month or two. So I'd really like to know where we are. That's the only question I have right now. I'm assuming I'll have a comment period. We'll have the comment period at the end as well.
Okay.
I understand, Beth. Thank you very much. I think it's a travesty that we can't fill the fifth spot on this council, and we can't fill the spots on the zoning board.
And there's also planning as well, because
And
there's only,
planning
I
as well.
counted the other night, there were 8 of you, not 9.
Correct.
And that 8 includes the alternate.
Correct.
And then I know that there are spots coming up at the end. There are positions or people coming off the boards at the end of this year and going, we have to fill them for next year. I don't want to be in a position where we have 4 people instead of 5 on council. We have 8 instead of 9 or 10 on planning, and we're still short on planning at least 1, possibly 2, depending on what people on zoning have determined and if they're able to fulfill their requirement. I just think that it's a disservice to the town and to the people that want to do what's right up there or out here. It's really not right, and it reflects poorly on the town.
Thank you, Beth. Marjorie and I have repeatedly asked to move this process along, and we've been stymied. Thank you.
I think where we have, where the roadblock is that there's a disagreement over the process. I think that there's 2 council members that say that we want to do it by putting it on the agenda, and that the applicants come for an interview. So far, we have not been able to reach agreement as to the process. So that's where we are. So that's where the roadblock is. Anyone else for public comment?
Jenny Derricks, tap into Sparta. I have a couple of questions. The first 2 relate to funding for the planning board, which is the purview of this body. Are you considering for the master plan committee to revisit the ordinance, the bond ordinance that would fund, that is the preferable means to fund a master plan review? It gives the taxpayers some relief because it spreads the cost of the master plan committee's expenses over 5 years. That was originally brought up when the process was first brought to the council. That was voted down, but things have changed since then. Is there consideration for revisiting that? That's my first question. Second, regarding planning board also, there was discussion at the planning board about having the professionals charge their time in a meeting, in a hearing, to the escrow accounts of the applicant. One of the professionals, the planner, said that's what she does. The engineer, Dave Simmons, said that he does that in every other town, but not Sparta. And Mr. Porro was new to the process and just was doing it as he was told. So that's my second question. And third, also related to planning board, for bed and breakfast. I don't know if you're aware, but our ordinance for bed and breakfast specifies that for a facility to be considered a bed and breakfast, they have to meet the standards of the New Jersey Bed and Breakfast Association. There is no such association. We have a bed and breakfast in town. There is no New Jersey Bed and Breakfast Association. There isn't really even a national association. I've spoken with other people who have bed and breakfasts in other towns. I've spoken with other town planning offices that have bed and breakfasts in their town, and they have a different way of handling it. But I just wanted to bring to your attention, especially since we are talking about difficulties with the short-term rentals, that as this may be an option for people with those types of facilities, we don't have an ordinance for all intents and purposes. So that's it for me for tonight.
Thank you. As to the first issue, that has not been brought up about the bond ordinance, but it's a good point about funding the planning board. So I'll bring that back to discussion for council. As to the second issue, I think it's more like a CFO funding issue and planning board. So I'm not versed enough to answer that one. And as to your third one, I believe there is a bed and breakfast. There's a statute that governs it statewide, if I'm not mistaken. But I think, we'd have to look into that.
Yeah, I couldn't find it in the MLUL, but I'm not an attorney, so
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Dash, can you help us on that? Do you know about that?
Yes, Jenny, Ms. Derricks is correct that the township ordinance needs to be updated to reflect the antiquated reference to the Bed and Breakfast Association, and the township should take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else for public comment on items not on the agenda?
Joanne Scally, Sparta, New Jersey. Just like to say that I feel bad for anyone that's harassed. I saw your letter on the Sparta site, and I do not condone that. But I'd like to say that for the past 3 years, I witnessed harassment to people with nasty comments, falsehoods, bullying on social media, especially on the SRD Facebook page. You did nothing. I've seen bullying, heckling from the gallery while you were mayor, and you did nothing against Christine Quinn and Josh Hertzberg. I just think it's a double standard. It's hypocrisy that all of a sudden you're asking for humanity, but you did nothing for asking for humanity from anyone else that was harassed. Just want to let you know, I donated twice to SRD when I supported a different slate that opposed no warehouse. I was doxxed by an SRD administrator and immediately blocked. They did not give me a chance to respond. Another SRD member even gave out the area in which I live. This is scary that fellow Spartans did this. I had a serious reason for changing my Facebook from my full name to my nickname. I had a former coworker that was terminated due to violently attacking a supervisor. I was a witness. All of a sudden, I got contacted by him. I immediately locked down my Facebook, changed my Facebook name. I did not change my profile picture, so people in town would know who I am. I did message you to please ask the SRD administrator to please stop it. You did nothing. So where's humanity there? My life was threatened. Flash forward to your first year, I went through that already. Then flash forward to 2025 reorg meeting when you completely changed everything. It was a foreboding of what was to become. Dan was very adamant that he would not engage in running a meeting that he felt was not legal because the council did not have an attorney present, since you removed our longtime attorney, Tom Ryan. That meeting started with no seated attorney. Dean also objected to Mr. Ryan being released and being replaced by a non-dash. Dan abstained, and Dean voted no to nomination. What came next were the other attorneys and planner replaced under the objections of Dean and Dan. Then came the resolution AA, which stated that it afforded opportunity, not obligation, to provide consent, respect to any decision by our town manager for grant application, construction, permitting related to capital projects. Dean stated it added red tape and delays. Dan stated the council should be working on policy, not administration. That the council is a policy board, not administrative board. The town manager stated that it will slow things down. Jim Zepp stated, town manager, stated he was surprised by the resolution. He also stated that he takes pride in what he delivers to the council. He already delivers a weekly report to the council. Jim has always done an astounding job as a DPW head and continues to do an outstanding job as our town manager, and I thank you. This is the first time I know of that a mayor of Sparta wanted to insert himself in everyday management of our town business. 2 meetings after the reorg meeting, Dan wanted to be put on record that he was very uncomfortable with what was being discussed at the executive board meeting, that he had to leave the room. That is very unsettling, very upsetting as a Sparta citizen, and I wonder what was going on at that meeting. Again, your involvement. A few months later, Dan turned in his resignation. He was an honorable man and chose to leave with his integrity intact and not wanting to go down on a sinking ship. It's sad Dan had no other choice. And then you continue to insert yourself in the planning board. You went to a planning board meeting trying to represent the town manager. You then went on to put a target on the backs of Joan Furman, Mike Sylvester, and Rob Bleakley, only because they were collecting signatures against the cannabis dispensaries. Rob Bleakley, you removed because he was a mayoral appointee. Mike Sylvester was removed by a discrepancy that Dean and Dan argued against. Joan Furman refused to resign when you asked. And I'm worried that no one will be willing to volunteer on boards and committees because of fear of your wrath. A real leader does not lead by intimidation. I respectfully ask that you please resign for the benefit of the town, since you have been very divisive and are leading a dysfunctional council. I have very bad allergies. You've also been unable to fill a vacancy on the council since April. If you won't resign, I would ask the other council members to censure you and remove you as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Hi. My name is William Stern. I live at 10 Carpenter Place. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just wanted to reinforce some of the things that Stacy DiPrato had said earlier. Mr. Zepp, I think one of the most importantly, we're not approaching the short-term rental as being the sole avenue. Mr. Dash, I think you have the tools through zoning codes, zoning rules, as well as your fire ordinances that are in place, and in place not just townwide, but in place through the state. So these rules, there are certain things that have to be part of the structure of the building, and they're not. These homes were all built as residential. They don't have the safety requirements that they need to have. The other thing that was stated earlier was that we have the police force to utilize when there's a problem. And I just want to let you know that other than sound violations at night, these gentlemen have their hands tied. There's nothing they can do. They can't come out there and write anybody a violation because they don't have exit signs by their exits. They don't have a sprinkler system in their building to adequately handle safety violations. So we want to approach it not from your short-term ordinance, but from existing regulations that are in place right now, and you guys have the tools to use. But you have to do so with force. These people bought these properties as investments. They're not going to be happy about it. They're going to fight you, and they're going to probably continue until you allow these people to go in there and control it and give them some force, some way, some method to keep it as a residential situation. I just wanted to reinforce that. But for us to call the police department is useless, other than making noise at night. There's nothing they can do right now. And traffic. Maybe they can go in there and they'll see inadequate egress because the place is completely blocked up, but that's minor. So you have the tools. Now I'm asking you to use them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment for items not on the agenda?
I just have a quick question. My name's Christina Carinas. It's actually for Mark and Margie. When Neil released the statement about the flag ordinance and he said that he needed the authority of an emergency meeting and he had never called an emergency meeting, what's the difference between the meeting that was called on September 9th versus an emergency meeting that you would have called for the flag? And just on a personal level or a professional level, where did you guys stand with it? And did he speak on your behalf too?
Sure. That morning, I was informed that I was out of state on Saturday morning. I don't remember the number date. But I was out of town, out of state. I was informed that the flag had not been lowered, and I emailed the township manager, Mr. Dash, and Mr. Clark, that Mark and Margie would like us to obey the president's order. And so not only did I put that on Facebook, I also sent an email to, as I said, these three people.
Can I so then
please.
how does who was the statement from then? Because from my understanding, the statement that was sent out from the township, there was like a little red dot notice. It appeared to me that it came from all of you guys.
No, let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's
I also, excuse me a second,
Go ahead.
but I had reached out to see if we could have an executive emergency meeting, and I was told no.
But why? That's what I'm not
I don't
understanding.
know why we couldn't.
Right.
To be honest, I don't know why.
But I understand that you don't know and you don't know, but so then who knows?
I know.
Let me explain how
Would
that
you like
happened.
an answer
okay?
or
Let-
not?
I mean,
I think I have the floor. I think
I think so.
okay.
To answer your question,
Yeah.
Mayor Clark intentionally leaves town council members out of many of his unilateral decisions. The recent statement that appeared on the official town website was not, I repeat, not, approved by the town council. In fact, Councilwoman Murphy and I had only received it 5 minutes before it was published, and we were in the process of raising objections with Mr. Dash on the phone to its content when it somehow appeared online.
How is that just acceptable? Who do we hold accountable? I know that if I could do something to hold someone accountable, I would, but I'm not an elected official. We put you guys here because we wanted you to represent us, and it just feels like almost like he's going rogue. Like there's just no sense of accountability. There's no formality. We don't know what's going on. In one sense, we get a statement that he's never called an emergency meeting. But if you look on Tap Into, he had one on September 9th. So I understand that if we can't trust all of our elected officials, we'd like to at least trust some of them, you know, and it feels like just from a taxpayer's point of view, like we have no one representing us. No one tells us the truth. Like you asked the question, like, what's the procedure? And he said, we do have a procedure. And then after the conversation kept going, he's like, well, we don't know the procedure. So who knows what's going on? Like, it's like, who's running the town? Like nobody knows.
Well, the town manager runs the town. Mr. Clark does not run the town.
Oh,
He
so
thinks he
then-
does, but very often.
And if I may,
I have no further comment.
add that the five, yes, Ms. Manager Zepp runs the town. And the five people that should be up here, nobody has with our form of Faulkner government. It's a nonpartisan, and no one has authority over each other. We all have the same vote. So it is not a mayor-strong form of government. But yes, I was approached that morning, and I was in favor of lowering the flag and was told that we couldn't have an emergency meeting. So, Mayor, if you could, you said you have an answer?
Sure. And I'll defer also to our counsel. Our statement, am I right, Attorney Dash, is with respect to the legal constraints that the Sparta Township has. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. As a general matter, well, first, I'm not going to vitiate the privilege of the attorney-client privilege. I'd ask counsel to respect communications that were had with me. And secondly, matters of governance and policy and legislation are the domain of the council. Matters of operation are the domain generally of the township manager. So the statement was in connection with authority from the township matter. Every decision not necessarily implicates the authority of the council.
And does council get to decide what the law is?
No, in its legislative capacity, it can legislate as a body, but it doesn't have the decision to make operational choices with respect to the law.
So where a township is attempting to follow the law, that's a matter of the township manager and the and the attorney, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And so would that explain why that the statement, council would not have had authority to decide what law it should follow, is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Clark, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
I'm
which law
sorry,
are you
ma'am.
referring to?
This is not a back and forth. You've had your 5 minutes, and I'll answer your question. Your
I
second,
didn't get the 5 minutes. And I just want to know which law are you referring to? And also, Mr. Zepp, are you taking responsibility for the decision not to lower the flag? Because it sounds like Mr. Clark said that it was your decision.
No, I'm not taking responsibility for that. I follow a lot of guidance on it, and I put the statement together because we were hearing a lot of confusion and misinformation out there and felt it would be best if we put a statement out on the website, and we did that. And it was in conjunction also with the Mayor Clark's statement. That statement was, heavily guided by counsel, which I refer to often in situations like this because I just don't have the knowledge of that. And that's what I follow on a lot of situations that I don't have knowledge of. I'll have to seek guidance.
Right, thank you. And then just to clarify, which law are we referring to when you said the law thing? I just want to make sure I
I'd
know.
refer you to the statement. So, I mean, the statement's been up for a while now. So, the law that's cited in there is what you should refer to. As to your second point about, there was an emergency meeting, I think you're misunderstanding the difference between an executive session, which has, there's certain legal criteria in order to call an emergency executive session. So that meeting of September 9th, without divulging what it was, it had to deal with an emergent, exigent legal issue that had arisen. And that was also scheduled, the same day as the council meeting. So we just did it earlier. So this the lowering of the flag does not meet the criteria for an emergency executive session meeting. So that's why it doesn't fall under that. So that example you used just really doesn't apply.
Okay, and just to clarify, you won't answer my question which law it is. You're going to tell me to go look on this statement, right? You tell people to come out and talk to you and ask questions here, but you're going to redirect
the
me?
purpose of issuing a statement is exactly that. I mean, it's that the statement is what it is, and that's our statement.
That's our statement, right?
That's the
No, it
statement.
wasn't our statement. It was.
That's
it
what
was
I'm trying to
Mr.
say. It's your
Clark's-
statement.
Mr. Clark's statement.
Well,
I was not consulted on whatsoever, neither was Deputy Mayor Murphy. We knew nothing of it. Therefore, time and time again in that memo, it talks about the township. And I kept saying, who is the township, right? And I thought I was part of the township, sitting up here. We both thought we were part of the township.
Well, Councilman Scott may have a misunderstanding of his role and where his role stops and where the township attorney and the township manager. It is not our authority to decide what the law is or announce what the law is. We don't get a vote on that because you could imagine the negative consequences that would follow if council could just vote on what the law is, right? And decide for itself whether it's going to follow it or not, right? We follow the rules and the statutes as interpreted by our attorney, and we take that advice. I didn't write the statement of Township of Sparta. I didn't even look at it. What I wrote is what I wrote.
So who wrote it?
Who wrote the statement? That was, we told you, it
You
isn't,
didn't even put eyes on it. You only said that you
Look
did
at-
your part. So who wrote it?
the township attorney and the township manager, they answered that. I had no role in writing that. I wrote my statement, and my statement, as I said, does not apply to any other council member. It doesn't apply to Sparta Township. Anyone else for further public comment?
Hello, Leanne Pitzer. This is for Mark and Margie, actually. It would appear as though when you did your reorganization meeting that you supported Neil for mayor at that time. It appears now that you're not very much in support of him. I want to ask, if you feel this strongly, why are you not asking him to step down as mayor, demand his resignation? And in addition, I would like to know what your opinions are with the fiscal position of our township at this moment. Our surplus is next to nothing. Neil and company came in with millions of dollars in surplus. Now there is next to nothing. But we are film ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Anyone else for public
Sure, I'll be
comment?
glad to answer that. Yes, we did back and vote for Mr. Clark at the reorganization meeting. Unfortunately, the entire town has been suffering since the cannabis issue was decided by Mr. Clark, Mr. Blumetti, and Mr. Chiarello. When they decided that they were going to approve marijuana stores in this town, dispensaries, and then I, along with 25 other people, went out and got 1,507 signatures opposing the marijuana stores. Since then, the wrath has been unstoppable. We've tried to play above board. Margie and I have discussed this many times. We want to do the right thing. We want to play the right way. And as soon as we do that, it's seen by some as weakness. And therefore, we are assaulted and not assaulted, but let's say dressed down with emails at 2:38 a.m. telling us about what fools we are. So this is the way it's running right now. And it would be nice that we could get a fifth person in there. So let's remember that
elections have consequences, and we're 8 weeks away, thereabouts, and you, the voters, get to decide which way this town goes. Thank you.
You answered the first part of my question.
Sure, can you remind me what that was?
I asked why you are not demanding his resignation.
Well, first of all, if I demanded his resignation, there would be a 2-2 vote, and it would fail. All right? I've been rather divisive here, and I've been rather negative here, but I want to read a statement here, because I think we really need to turn this around. We are proud to live in Sparta, proud to be Spartans. When I say we, I'm talking about myself and Deputy Mayor Murphy. We are honored to have been elected by a wide margin to represent our wonderful community. There are many things that unify us, and we should highlight them. Many people move to Sparta to raise their families. We have good schools, a robust recreation department, many beautiful lakes and parks, active scouting programs, numerous churches and houses of worship, and many organizations that support our families. We ran on a platform of maintaining the rural culture of our town, keeping Sparta beautiful. Sparta was recently thrust into the national spotlight in a disappointing way, and while we were not consulted and do not condone what went on, we know Sparta is more than that. Sparta is more than one unfortunate decision. While Mark and Margie were not consulted on that decision, and many others that have resulted in negative backlash ever since the cannabis issue came to a head, but we've been elected to represent all of Sparta, to do the best that we can for Sparta, to help maintain the Sparta we moved here for and make it even better. We appreciate your input and comments. We ask that you do so in a way that is worthy of our wonderful community and in a way that promotes making Sparta even better. If you don't want marijuana dispensaries in this town, you have to get out and vote. November 7th, right? Okay, so November 7th, get out and vote. No.
November 4th.
Okay, November
Councilman.
4th. All right. See, I would have missed it. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ann.
Okay, I'll simply say that I think that council members, unlike members of the public, try to abide by Robert's rules. One of them is that you don't ascribe motives to a board member or a fellow council member. And what you just heard was an ascribing of motive, that each action that they may talk about is based on some motive, based on support or non-support of cannabis. That's to ascribe a motive to a fellow council member. Now, you as a public are free to do that, but I would hope that our council members could follow some type of decorum and abide by that. So anyone else for public comment?
I agree with following a modem of decorum.
I know you may not have seen that, Mr. Clark, but I was trying to lower the temperature with my statement. If you'd like me to bring it up, I can do that too. I have another statement I'll be glad to read. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anna Angelucci. You brought up a good point, Mark. You said go out and vote on November 4th or 7th. But the thing is, isn't it worded that it doesn't really matter if I vote yes and you vote no, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the council that really makes the decision?
Right. It will be.
So why? Listen. I think everybody should go out and vote because I think voting is very important. But does it really matter if we vote yes or no? Because isn't it going to just end up just like a vote like it was before, and everybody got these signatures? Because nobody, not nobody, obviously some people on the council want it and some people didn't. So we just ended up, in the December meeting saying, oh, well, 3 of us wanted it, 2 of us don't, or whatever
My personal opinion is the fact that the Sparta residents were not made aware. We represent all of you, and that is the most important thing, is I am here, born and raised in this town. My family's been here a very long time, and we do not want to see it change to the degree that it shouldn't be. The reason we all moved here. And we want you to have a vote, and then, yes, we will decide. But the show of the public is extremely important. It is to me.
So are you saying that if 70% of Sparta residents voted no, it's going to be no?
I am
You should ask Mr. Clark that.
hoping to God yet. That is the answer.
I don't deal in hypotheticals.
I'm sorry?
I said we're not going to deal in hypotheticals. So
The reason I'm asking this question is,
I think you should vote, and I think that, the vote is something that.
so I guess the question is it a
May I
yes or no
finish?
vote?
May I finish?
Sure.
Okay. So I think, this idea that no one was aware of it, there was a hearing, there was an introduction. No one aware of the cannabis is kind of dumbfounded by that statement. But as far as what are we going to do if, however the vote comes out? That is a factor that we have to consider. That's my answer, because there are legalities that we have to consider. There's a lot that goes into that. So we can't just give you a black and white. I know you really want a black and white. I get that. It's very simple to think that way, and I understand that, and I wish things in governing were that easy. It's not that easy. And all I can tell you is that however the vote comes out, yay or nay, that's something this council has to consider, right? And so if that's the best I can give you. I can't give you, if it comes out this, we're definitely going to do whatever. I mean, it could come out and,
So why,
in
why
favor
should
of
we,
dispensaries,
why
and
should we
could-
vote?
Huh?
Why should we vote
Because
yes
you
or no
wanna-
for that?
Because I just told you that it's a factor that goes into our consideration. And if you want to have an influence on that, on the weight of that factor, you must vote. Right? So it's an important factor that we consider. So I encourage everyone to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment on items not on the agenda?
If the vote does come out that Spartans are against marijuana stores in the center of town, Mark and Margie will do the best that we can to honor what the residents want. I know one of the candidates is vehemently against the marijuana stores, and hopefully the other one is too. Look forward to working with whoever it is. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else for public comment? Otherwise, we do have some other business to attend to, including introductions of ordinances and hearings on ordinances. Okay. All right, seeing no further public comment, we are now up to expenditures. Deputy Mayor Murphy, would you please read the expenditures for September 23rd, 2025?
The expenditures for September 23rd, 2025 are $6,865,589.20.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the expenditures for September 23rd, 2025?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 I,
Okay. The expenditures for September 23rd, 2025 have been approved. We are now up to the introduction of an ordinance. Madam Clerk, could you please read the title of ordinance 2516?
An ordinance of the Township of Sparta amending the salary ordinance for non-union and union employees.
And may I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2516?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I will second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So ordinance 2516 has been introduced. There will be a hearing 2 weeks hence from today, at which point if you have questions about the ordinance, what it's about, we can take those then. But normally on the introduction of ordinances, we don't do that. Actually, we needed a roll call. I apologize. Thank you for looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing, which sorry about that. So we need a roll call on ordinance 2516.
Councilman Scott.
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti.
yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. So ordinance 2516 has been introduced. Madam, now we're at a hearing of an ordinance. This is the one that we did 2 weeks ago. Madam Clerk, could you read the title of ordinance 2515?
An ordinance of the Township of Sparta, Sussex County, New Jersey, amending portions of Chapter 16 of the Township Code entitled Fire Protection and Prevention.
Okay, we're now, anyone having public comment on ordinance 2515? Okay, okay.
Jenny Derricks, Tappan to Sparta. Is there any delta, any change from this ordinance to the prior one that it is supplanting?
Yes, there is.
Can you tell us
It's-
what the
it's
changes
just-
are?
It's modifying to match with Hardiston, who is now our new enforcement agency for fire prevention.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of change in the ordinance, but it's necessary to effectuate the shared service that we now have with Hardiston, performing the fire prevention services as opposed to the way we were doing it before.
So it's primarily the code enforcement that the fire department is required to uphold?
Yes.
Okay. And our fire department is signed off on it?
They have, though Hardiston is the primary on this.
Sure.
All right, and this is the fire prevention services. They do work with the fire department on some level, but on the fire prevention services, it's the primary is Hardiston right now. And you heard two examples of Eric Stahl reaching out to residents and performing those duties, and I'm always happy to hear that. He's very responsive, and so far the relationship has worked out very well.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment on 2515? Okay, I'll take it back to council for any discussion. Council have any discussion? Okay.
No.
Yes. Now, would Hardyston be able to enforce the bed and breakfast rule if there's 30 people in a house? I mean, I have to believe that that's against code. Would Hardyston do that, or do we just ignore it? Will they ignore it too?
Well,
No, anything related to the fire code
Yeah.
would be
Yes.
referred to Hardiston, all right?
Okay, so
And
Hardyston would be the enforcer.
they would
So
be.
if there is 30 people in a home and it's overloaded, then
I can't answer that. That is up to them. They are the lead agency. They're the trained professionals. They would receive our complaint or issue of them to look into, and then we would abide by their recommendation. This gets applied all the time.
should residents call Sparta 911 or should residents call Hardyston 911?
Residents should go on the Sparta webpage. You can look up fire prevention services, and now you'll see links to Hardiston, all right, for all their concerns related to fire prevention, whether it's food truck inspections or smoke detector permits, they're closing on a house. It now goes to Hardiston, and the information is on our town website.
Will Hardyston be getting all the inspection revenue that when a Sparta house changes trades, typically there's a smoke
fee.
detector
There's a fee.
inspection?
Yes, they would.
And a fee, and they
Yes.
get the fee.
Yes, they do.
Is this, okay. And you're saying this is, and as I recall, I remember you said this was a cost savings net.
Well, it is because we don't have a lead agency. We don't have an employee who's getting paid to do what Hardiston's getting paid to do now for it. Right? That individual had decided that he was no longer going to perform those services for us. He gave me notice, and I was fortunate enough to find Hardiston who was willing to pick it up for us. And we didn't have a real delay in function.
Is that person still employed by the township?
He is. He has multiple positions, hence the reason that he dropped this one. I'm happy to discuss it outside.
Okay,
of
fine.
this. That's
Yeah, this is an example of an inter-service agreement, and that if you've ever gone to a League of Municipalities conference or anyone speak from DCA, which they're very big on trying to find cost savings between
Why you hit me
townships,
like
so we
that?
don't
I don't
duplicate
know why you
effort.
hit me like that.
So this is an example of that, where Hardiston has a very robust fire prevention team. And so there was, once our fire department official said they were no longer going to do that particular part of the job, this was a ripe candidate for an inter-service agreement. Is that basically correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, any other council member want discussion or comment on 2515? Okay, may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2515?
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so ordinance 2515 has been adopted. We are now up to our second public comment period. However, this is limited to the resolutions. So before you get up to the microphone, take a look at the resolutions. If you want to make a public comment on those, please do so. Again, abide by the 5-minute time period. And please don't yield your time to another person. So do we have any member of the public wishing to be heard on the resolutions?
Jenny Derrick, step into Sparta on 9-6. Has there any change to that resolution since it was rejected at the last council meeting?
No,
Thank you.
I don't believe there is. That's it.
Okay, so if it's all right, the first four are ones that we routinely do, so I would make a motion to approve resolutions 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, and 9-4. So the motion is the approval of resolutions 9-1 through 9-4.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 9-1 through 9-4.
May I have a second, please? All right, I will second it for resolutions 9-1 through 9-4. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Resolutions 9-1, 9-2, 9-3, and 9-4 have been approved. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-5, which is a resolution of the Township of Sparta to authorize the use of a national contract for the Water and Sewer Utility Department. So may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-5?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 9-5.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Okay, and before we vote, just one question. Manager Zepp, could you just explain the purpose of this resolution for the public, please?
Right, this is a common practice that we do with purchasing. We're using a national contract, which saves us from going out to bid. When you have a costly product like this, $23,000 exceeds the pay-to-play threshold of $17,500. So when we do that, we like to formalize it in the form of a resolution to show the public that we're abiding by public contract law. And these are specialized parts for the water pumps out at Germany Flats.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions regarding 9-5? If not, we'll go to vote. All right, all those in favor of Resolution 9-5, say aye.
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 All right, Resolution 9-5 has been approved. Next, may I have a motion to approve Resolution 9-6, which is a resolution for the Township of Sparta in support of proposed State of New Jersey legislation S3545/A4696 Climate Superfund Act. So I need a motion to approve Resolution 9-6.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 9-6.
May I have a second, please? Okay, I will second.
second.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Back to council. We discussed this at the last meeting. I understand that have Councilman Scott and Councilman Murphy, have your questions been answered so that you feel that you have the ability to vote on Resolution 9-6 at this time?
Correct.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of Resolution 9-6, say aye.
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 I didn't hear Councilman Scott. Did you?
No.
Okay, so we have 3-1, the resolution has passed. All right, we are now up to the council liaison updates, and I will start to my far left.
With regards to the planning board, we recently had a hearing on the smoke shop, and that will be rolled to the smoke shop and the restaurant directly across from the ShopRite. And that has been carried till next meeting. So if you're interested in that, please show up. In addition, we also had discussion of a new warehouse, I believe at 1012 Aaron Way, and that has been carried also to next meeting. I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting last week, just tremendous presentations by many of the local companies that work and operate here. And I can only, encourage everyone to purchase and utilize.
Local.
Shop local. There you go. That's a good way. All right. On Saturday or Sunday, I had the opportunity to go to the swearing in of 3 new Eagle Scouts here in Sparta. Their names I can release next week. But it was a great moment to see 3 excellent Scouts receive the highest honor in scouting. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Manager Zepp gave on the senior committee, we did take 4th place. It was a terrific day. So any senior citizens next year, I want you to show up, and I want more teams to combat in the county. And this was a tri-county competition, and you only have to be 60. Just saying. There was it was tremendous day. And the Parks and Rec did a wonderful job. They really did. And everybody had a great time. It was very well organized and some stiff competition. But we did excel. But we came in 4th, so that's great to know. The Rev 250, nothing has changed since last meeting. We are looking at doing instead of doing a Washington crosses the Delaware, honoring the birth of the Navy and doing a possible boat parade around Lake Mohawk for Navy veterans.
I thought I was going to be Washington.
Sorry. Sorry. Plus, we have to maybe lowering the lake. Well, you can be Washington. That's okay. So we're getting it in October, and we're looking at putting that together. And the Environmental Council, we passed the Superfund Act, so anything thank you, and thank you for all your hard work, That is all I have.
Dean, do you have anything?
Just one quick comment on the Business Development Committee. This Thursday's meeting was canceled or postponed. We're looking to have it instead in the first full week of October and to bring in 1 or 2 guest business owners to meet with us. That's it for now.
Okay, thank you. First, on our Trails Committee, happy to report that we have the sign. You may have remembered that at the Glen, we got funding, thank you to our Environmental Commission, enabled us to obtain, to pay for a sign. We've now completed that, and it's replete with mileage markers. It's very detailed. And so that is going into production probably within the next week. We're trying to see if we can get a QR code for the actual sign itself. So when you approach the sign, you can use a QR code and then follow it. But there's mile markers. It's very detailed. Thank you to Doug Dykstra, who was on our Trails Committee, who made that happen, who's a professional surveyor. So that sign should be happening soon. Next, we are making significant progress on what we are calling our Safe School Trail. That's the trail that will connect the middle school to the high school. On October 3rd, members of the Trails Committee will be presenting to the New Jersey Land Trust. Because as I've mentioned before, in order to do this trail, there's certain property owners that you have to work with, and so they are one of them. And we have to get them to convey their property in exchange for us conveying property to them. Mr. Dykstra and Mr. Zepp have looked over those properties, and they are Sparta Township property. They are not developable, and they meet the environmental standards for preserved open space, because New Jersey Land Trust only wants to take land that's already preserved. So that will happen October 3rd, and then assuming that they approve it, it will then become before council to actually make the conveyance from Sparta Township to the New Jersey Land Trust. So hope to have that happen in a meeting in October. So we hope to have good news from them. Also, there's a private property owner that also has land where the trail will go. We've been in discussions with them. They've seemed to be agreeable, and there may come a time that we have to do a licensing agreement with them in order to use and be able to traverse that property. So that's just one of the trails. The next one is what we call the Iron Horse Trail. That's one that I know that Manager Zepp is familiar with, because people would terminate at the DPW and wonder where the trail, and so that one will kind of follow along all the way up 94 and go into like where Votech is. So we have that sketched out. Obviously along that way are a bunch of different properties. We are setting up a meeting with Votech, hopefully in the next couple weeks, about where we want this to go. But we have the map designed, thanks again to Doug Dykstra, who has been very diligent and very thorough with sketching this out. And so as we do that, we'll have to have meetings with, say, for example, Camp Sacagawea. Mr. Kimball owns part of the property where the trail will go. But that one is progressing, but we're putting our focus really on the safe school trails, because that's one that the public has really wanted for a long time. And so we're working on that one. The third one is called the Ogden Mine Trail. So that's the trail kind of Sparta Glen, which will eventually almost terminate up into Edison, where the old Edison mines were. And that one also, there's a private property owner that we have to communicate with, that we would need kind of an easement on their property, or maybe purchase it outright through, the state may purchase it, not us. Anyway, that's going to be a longer process, but that's another one. And I know when I describe these trails, you can't really figure out what is he talking about. Well, we're going to solve that problem. We are going to have meetings where we're going to hike these trails, because they are passable right now. It's just when they become trails, we're going to have to clear cut them and stuff. But look forward to announcements where we will meet, say, October, November. Whoever wants to see what this trail is and what it's going to look like, we can take you there and do a walk. So look out for that. We also have on that, a member of our film committee has agreed, has a drone license, and is going to take a drone of each of these trails so the public can see what it's going to look like. Because you can actually, the maps are so detailed now, you can plug in the coordinates into the drone, and the drone will follow the path. And we'll probably do that once all the leaves are falling, because you'll get a better appreciation of the trails. But hopefully that will happen in the next couple months. There is one update to the Rev 250. I learned that we do have the funding for a colonial era concert, which is going to be, these kind of reenactors, Erica and Eliza Leakchak. They play the cello and harpsichord. They are very good. They were written up in the Bergen Record doing this. They're fantastic. We're very lucky they've agreed to do this. And due to some sales that the Rev 250 did on their own, they are able to pay for that. So we're probably going to do that in February, I think. And so I just want to give a big shout out to our Rev 250 members. This is a lot of planning, a lot of calling people, and they do a lot of work. We're very lucky to have Ben Thies on there. He is he's the one that helped us get the tavern talks. He's received all kinds of awards for his work as a reenactor, so we're very privileged to have him on our committee. Next up on the film committee, members of the film committee are working with Barnlight Studios, which is a studio concept. They are working with the Sussex County Community College, such that they're going to have a curriculum, and the community college will also help with the entertainment production using, some of the other students that are there. So folks from the culinary arts will be able to help with the craft services for entertainment production, the building construction, welding, they will also help. And also the entirely local-led produced short film Subversion that was filmed in Sparta last year. That's in the final stages of post-production. And thankfully, due to some contacts that members of our film committee, we have some really A-list post-production people working on this, including coloring and sound design, things that, Marvel uses or Amblin uses. They've been nice enough to donate their time to that. So we hoped that post-production will wrap up soon, and that once the film is ready to be displayed, we'll have an event that the public can come to and see it. And that does it for all my liaison updates.
I have one more.
Okay.
I'd like to thank, can I make him stand? Sure. Todd? Thank you very much. And I just want to address everybody here and whoever is watching on YouTube. Thank you for everything you have done for West Shore Trail and what you have had to put up with. People being rude and angry and mean is no excuse for that. And you do it every time I drive by, you have a smile on your face. So God love you for doing it and moving so quickly and helping out the town. We surely appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. You and all the DPW.
One thing I did forget to add about the trails, we've had a generous offer by Turco Construction that once we get, are able to start breaking ground, that they are willing to donate their time and services to that. So hopefully we'll get to that point where we can give them a call and make use of that. So very thankful for that offer. So now we're up to unfinished and new business. And since I'm already talking, I will keep going. On new business, I think I announced last meeting that I would like to establish a Sparta beautification committee, kind of patterned after what you're seeing in Lake Mohawk, where you see the planners. Having spoken to the women there about the fantastic job they're doing, they thought it would also be a good idea to do that and sort of extend it up through Main Street. So when you go through Main Street, you'll see a sort of similar beautification. I had to track down, other towns have this, Denville has one, but they started in 1978 and they weren't able to find the original ordinance because we need to do this by ordinance. Thankfully, Clifton, New Jersey does have one. So we're going to use that probably as a template and hopefully get that introduced at the next meeting. Also on the Sparta Beautification Committee, we are very fortunate that we've already had an offer to donate funds, so this committee will have resources. And so Joe Daly, who did say I could say this, so has offered some type, we don't know what it is, some type of financial resources to get this committee off the ground. So when you join this committee, there'll likely already be resources available, and that's uncommon. As you'll see on most all our kind of advisory committees, you're not given really a funding right off the bat. And so like neither our film committee or even Rev 250 has like a line item budget that they can draw on, but the Sparta Beautification will. So what we would like to do is I would go ahead and people can start applying now if they have interest in it, even though it's not up yet. I think what you should do is go on the Sparta Township website And there is even though you won't see it in the drop down, there's an other that you can check. And then it can describe, why do you want to volunteer? And then in that part, you can say Sparta beautification, because I'd like to get that process started so we have so they can hit the ground running as soon as the ordinance gets passed, hopefully in a month from next Tuesday. So in any event, I encourage people to do that. It's a fabulous idea. And I know I've already spoken to some of our business owners who love it. And anyway, I look forward to that one getting off the ground. And finally, my last update is just congratulations to Sean and Helene Palladini. I had the pleasure of marrying them at their house on that beautiful Saturday. And it was fantastic. And the irony is I knew Mr. Palladini's mom because she was a Asbury Park reporter back in the day. And so I would see her at council meetings back when I was doing some journalistic work. So I recognized her. But anyway, congratulations to them. Okay, anyone else with unfinished or new business?
No, I do not.
No.
Okay, Mark, do you have any unfinished or new business?
No, I'll save it.
Okay. Okay, we are now up to the final public comment period. Again, state your name for the record, and you're limited to one comment of no more than 5 minutes and no yielding of time to another person.
Hi, good evening again. Eric Aronson from Sparta. First part's just going to be a question with regards to the concerns that were brought for our fellow Spartans about Sussex Mills area. I thought I saw not too long ago there was a position open in the township for zoning and code enforcement officer. Has that position been filled? Yes or no?
No.
No. All right. So besides whatever may be in litigation, how could that practically be enforced without a zoning officer in place? I feel that the people from that neighborhood that came and spoke before the council, I think should be informed in the interest of transparency that there's no person in place to do such enforcement. So
They have.
there you have that answer.
Emailed
I mean, hopefully it's in the process, but
They have been informed of the
okay.
fact.
I didn't hear that anything on the record about that just when they spoke to the council this evening. So
You asked them.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry, sir.
You can ask them. I
Okay.
have corresponded with them.
Okay.
I've given them.
But for the purpose of everybody else that's here in the room and other people that may be watching, maybe they weren't benefit of that correspondence that should have been put on the record. I'm glad it is now. I'm glad we cleared the air on that. So thank you for the answer on that. Other thing, in the discussions that came up during the first public comment period, a little confused here about the statement of the township. So who is the township, right? The township, the daily operations of that of Mr. Zepp, the township manager, and then administratively of the elected governing body. Obviously, there's some dissension amongst the governing body with the exclusion of Councilman Scott and Councilwoman Murphy to their objection. Mr. Zepp said he didn't write the statement. He said it's not his words. They said it's not their words. You said it's not yours. People pointed at Mr. Dash. So just whose is it? One person and one person only, clearly. I think wrote that answer. But before you answer that, respectfully, I need to bring forward the statute that was cited, the New Jersey statute. That's not even a correct statute. That's a statute pertaining to the electronic notification system in the state of New Jersey when the state government orders the flags to be lowered. Not whether or not there's going to be obedience to what the governor may or may not say. That's simply a notification system. So was that statute dug up? Was that statute dug up by our town attorney at the township expense for an incorrect statute? Yes or no? Okay, I'm getting affirmative nod from Councilman Scott. Mayor, do you have an answer to that? Yes or just yes or no?
All your questions and then
Just go with this. Yes or no? Just answer the question, sir.
Because I don't want to take up your time answering it. Are you done with your question?
You're taking up my time by not answering it. Just please answer it. Yes or no?
I'll wait till your time has expired. So what?
Well, then I'm going to get my time. I'm waiting for you, sir.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, then we'll take
I have
the
one other
balance
point to
of
bring
your
up, but it's
time.
not a question. It's a statement. But please answer. You're wasting everybody's time here, including yours and the other residents and mine.
I'm not grasping what you're trying to convey. to
Don't
me.
play games. I asked a simple question. Whose words were these? Were these your words?
No, they were not my words.
And then
I'm not the attorney
okay, I'm speaking
for
right
the
now, sir.
township.
I didn't interrupt you when you spoke. Okay, I'm speaking now. This is my time. Okay, then the other part was, is the township being billed for the attorney for the incorrect statute? Yes or no?
Well, I reject your characterization that it's an incorrect statute. Sir, do you have a legal degree?
Are you licensed to practice law in the state of New Jersey?
Now, I asked you a question. Are you a
Okay,
licensed
I'm
attorney?
the one actually asking the question right now. This is my time.
Okay, so the answer to that
Okay.
question is no. And so
okay.
when you say there's an incorrect citation of a statute, I'm going to believe the attorney who is licensed in New Jersey in municipal law, not someone who's not. And
I
so,
didn't realize there was a specific licensure for municipal law.
sir, I'm not going to quibble with you.
You're
Finish
doing
your
that right now.
statement. Finish your
Okay.
statement. What is
Well,
it?
you clearly can't answer that question, so I'll move on.
No, I did answer it.
I'll let the record reflect that. Thank you. The last part, you were discussing about Robert's Rules of Orders before. So at the council meeting in the beginning of August, I don't think you have the right to talk about Robert's Rules of Order. The way you acted at the meeting, just getting up, walking out, mid-meeting to end a quorum, when council members Scott and Murphy brought forward a motion, a seconded motion, even when Attorney Dash said there was a quorum, then you failed to conduct the rest of the parliamentary process, to have discussion, to hold votes on it, and then just up and walked out after he informed you there was a quorum. I think that's wrong. I think you forfeit the right to talk about Robert's Rules of Order when you can't abide by that yourself. That's all I have. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I will say that I already issued a statement about that. And I understand someone who's not an attorney, never served on a municipal council would probably have a difficulty grasping some of these issues. And I understand that you can make every accusation you want, that's your, but don't take lack of response as agreeing to what you said. I stand by our attorney and what he wrote and what we said, he said, and the township said in that statement. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Phillips. I'm here just to make a brief statement about the unfortunate and sad decision not to lower the flag at a time when many of us were greatly and sadly affected by a terrible act, and my heart's beating at 90 miles an hour, so please bear with me. But primarily, I'd like to say that it's my understanding that our president basically said that it would be, that he would like to see us lower the flag as a level of respect. I understand that our governor decided that that wasn't prudent, and for whatever rules and governing rules. What makes me the saddest is that it appears that a decision was made in a community, and we are a community, and you're basically elected to represent our beliefs and our thoughts. And at a time, an unprecedented time, and hopefully we won't see anything like this again anytime soon, I feel that it would have been a very good idea to, whether it's prudent to call an executive meeting or to simply, as an act of respect, reach out to our members who do represent us as a community and maybe get a collective idea as to whether or not they were going to go along with what the President of the United States had recommended and considered our wishes and what we might as a people want. I'm terribly disappointed at the way it went. I think it was hugely disrespectful. I think that while some of us don't feel that it deserved the respect, there are many of us that do. And it just shows one more time a lack of respect for people and a lack of respect for human nature. And we are a community, and I'm terribly disappointed that that decision was made, regardless of statutes, but we are a community at the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Joanne Scally. I'm asking a direct question. I expect an honest answer on the cannabis dispensary. When you voted into law, 3-2, it became law. And according to New Jersey, once it becomes law, it's law for 5 years. And it cannot be changed, no matter what. What is your answer on that? Is our referendum just blowing smoke. You know?
Any other questions? Go ahead and take your time.
I have other things. The trails, when the trails are connected, can strangers walk through our school grounds? The other one is with Beth and her being nominated. I did ask you last time why Anandash did not say that you need to do alternate one, alternate two. And then when I went back and reviewed other meetings, he immediately told them, well, you have to do alternate one and alternate two. Is that a coincidence that it was not done at the meeting that you walked out on a quorum that your own attorney said it was a proper quorum? It might not be the quorum that you wanted, but it was still a quorum. And there's one other thing, and it slipped my mind. Oh, you could answer and I'll think about it.
Your first question calls for a legal analysis. I can't give you that about what the interplay between the the referendum and the cannabis statute and the ordinance. That's a complicated question. And that's, like I said, that the referendum vote will be a factor, but I can't sit here and tell you, what that means, how they interplay with one another. That's something that our attorney and other members of the council will have to wrestle with after November.
But it was made law when you voted it in. And according to the state, once it's made law, it's 5 years. So I don't understand how it could possibly be changed. That's just my question. I don't think that, that you can't give an answer. I think you should be able to give an answer. And against the trails again. Oh, one other thing, April 22nd, did you go back and review that on YouTube that I asked you last meeting? And you said you did not.
No, I haven't looked at it.
So you don't care what constituents come up with?
That's your characterization.
Well, you would have an answer for me this week. I did ask and request that you have an answer for me.
Okay, and that had to do with whether I said something to someone, is that
To
right?
me.
Okay. As to your concern about the trails, obviously, the Board of Ed will be completely brought in and read into that, and that we've already had a meeting about it. And so that, as we get further down the line, of course, that our Board of Ed would have say-so for wherever that trail goes into the school, so that, it wouldn't interrupt or disrupt school proceedings, and we'll take our cues on that particular part of it from the Board of Ed. So.
Okay, but it's scary with school shootings. We don't want strangers on our property with that. And there was one other thing, and I just can't get it. Okay, well, thank you for your time. Oh, that was the other one. At the vigil, you stated that when someone asked you if it was your decision, would you vote, would you lower the flag? And you said no. What you should have said, it was my decision, and I voted not to lower it. Thank you.
I'll just say that would have not been the truth if I had said it was my decision. Two is, I think that I was asked a direct question. And what I find very troubling sometimes about what politicians do is they'll obfuscate, or I could have said, well, I don't know. I told you how I would decide it personally, and I felt you deserved an answer to that directly, instead of some kind of tap dance around the answer that you see a lot of the time. So that's why you got the answer that you did.
But you were the one who sent the directive.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
I had 6 seconds when you were talking. But you sent the directive to the heads and ordered them not to lower the flag. So it was you. Thank you.
Rick Finkel, Sparta. Might be a question for Jim. I had a question about the ordinance on salaries. I know it was an introduction, but I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks, so I have a basic question. Are these increases from last year, and can you give me the percentage of increase?
How about this? Why don't we, can you send that to us? And then we'll make sure, let's make sure that question gets answered at the hearing. And then I know you won't be there,
Right.
but we'll make sure that gets transmitted to you. Otherwise, we're getting ahead of ourselves on the introduction. And it's a fair question. I just want to keep to the process. So if you would, you have, and just ask it, and then
I'll get it.
There's not a
Roxanne
simple
or
answer,
whoever, make
so-
sure we answer that.
I'll send it. Thank you.
William Stern. Again, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but you brought up a good question, Councilman Scott. Mr. Zepp, who do we call if it's Saturday and there's 20 vehicles in the yard and we know there's a fire ordinance that's being broken? Who should we call? And who's going to respond? And do the police have the responsibility to the town people to respond and potentially evict the renters that are there that weekend? Because we know that the home is a residential property that now has 5 sets of adults in it. Please answer that, because that is we don't know.
Anytime you're in fear of your health and safety, you can call the police, and the police will direct it properly if it isn't in their purview. All right, they'll do that regardless. All right. Otherwise, you can call the Hardison contact information on the website, or you could do what you've been doing, the neighborhood has been doing. I'm very well aware of the situation up there. I have addressed it to the best of my abilities with the departments that I have.
Well,
I
think
know
we
that
need
the
to
fire
carry it a step further, though.
Well, we
With
are
enforcement.
right, with the guidance of council of how far we can go with enforcement, with what's being done. I do know that the fire marshal has been out there twice, and the previous code enforcement officer has been out there. All right,
Yes.
the allegations that
You
the
wanna know what
neighborhood.
we were
The
told?
allegations that have been alleged are being worked on as best to my ability.
Yeah.
All right, I know it isn't to your satisfaction, but it is to the best ability that I'm able to address them.
I think we're both on the same side of the issue. I believe the township does not want these hotel, boarding house situations going on. And to that extent, we're both on the same side. But the answer we got from the code enforcement officer, because I went there with Paul DePrada, was that his job ends at 4 o'clock. So most of these situations happen after his time. And he doesn't work on the weekends. So there's nobody to call. And then the police department they don't know which direction to take it. So we'd love to see them have the power to take a code-breaking situation and be able to say, guys, you got to leave. You can't be here. That'd be very simple, and I think it would be best interest of the town.
I agree. It's a work in progress, and I ask for your patience and
Yeah,
and let me
you have
work
the
work through
patience.
it the
We
best we
have.
can.
But, so what do we expect? What should we
I
expect?
don't have
and
your
how-
email, Mr. Stern. I have several of the other neighbors.
Yeah.
And I have been corresponding with them. I'm sure they've
Well,
shared that.
I know Chris Rowe's been in touch
Right,
with.
Chris, Rose, and Stacy, we've corresponded with. You're new, but I would love to have your email address, and I'm happy to
oldest one there.
update you the best I can. All
I'm
right?
the oldest and the longest resident. I've been here for 29 years, so, and they're all new. But
We will address this. It's just, it's not as clear cut as we'd like it to be.
yes,
All
I
right?
agree.
So,
I agree. All right, well, thank you.
Sir, if I may, you can contact the police department. We will go out in situations after hours where you think there's a danger to people. That's part of our job. But we'll take a look at things. If we see some type of issue that we can refer to the fire marshal's office, we will. Maybe they may need to come out that night if we see something in danger. If not, then they will follow up.
Can you actually effectuate that?
As far as evicting people, no.
No, effectuate getting a marshal out there
If there's a need, yes.
at night
Yes.
on a weekend.
Yes.
That's great.
There has to be a need
We'll
for it,
let
though.
your officers know that.
Our officers know that.
They know not to slough it off because it's.
My officers don't slough anything off.
Anything
I should
off?
say. We are very we are very professional. We come out. A lot of times there's been issues with parking out there that have been reported as issues.
Yeah.
We go out, we document them. We have body worn cameras. We go out, make sure that
Right.
people could get by. There's no violations, Title 39 violations, as far as parking in front of a fire hydrant, too close to a stop sign, blocking somebody's driveway, making sure emergency vehicles could pass. Things of that nature that I know that you're all going through. As far as like vehicles being parked in a driveway, if there's 20 vehicles being parked in the driveway, we can't enforce
I know.
anything there.
That's why
private
I'm saying
property.
your hands are tied. And so, but if you see 20 cars in there and it's 11 o'clock at night and it's not a party, they're staying there, it's beyond parking and those other things you said.
The consistency of what has been, basically reported to our offices, the things that we see and we put on body cameras, what we refer to the zoning office in this case. I understand as right now, there's some issues with that enforcement, but we have that documentation. We have it in reports and we have it in, on our body worn cameras. So
Can I get a business card?
I could talk to you after the meeting. But my email is on the township website, and I'm very responsive. You could shoot me an email with any questions you have. You're welcome.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. If you guys want to have a discussion outside, but we have other members of the public who would like to speak. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Kathy Ebikowski, Sparta. I have two requests requests or questions. You may remember a couple years ago, I brought this up. It seems to be an issue again. I think this question is more for Manager Zepp or for you, Chief. There are cable boxes throughout the township with glaring green lights, similar to what you see on the dais there, but probably 10 times bigger and brighter. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those, but a couple of years ago, I made a request to have them dimmed when they're facing properties, houses. That was done. I spoke with Corporal Morris about that, and that seemed to be rectified then. It seems to be an issue again. I don't know if they did work on one of the boxes, the one in front of my house specifically, but it is offensive at night in my windows as I'm trying to sleep. So the reason I'm here today is just to ask that that be remedied. I'm not sure if there's other boxes in town that are also, or other properties that are facing this, but just to bring it to your attention, that it's just obnoxiously bright at night. I'd ask that that be remedied, at least in front of my house. I don't know if there's others, so that's the first question or request. And then secondly is around West Mountain. I live off of West Mountain, and therefore I drive that road every day. My question is, and I'm not sure if it's to you, Chief, or to you, Manager Zepp, what determines what speed limit is posted on West Mountain? Because by the high school, over by Radcliffe, Scudder's, Graphic, as you get to Graphic, it's 40 all of a sudden, and the majority of West Mountain seems to be 35. And I can't, for the life of me, make a determination what would have made that change coming past Scudder's down the hill. And the reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of people running on that road, walking dogs, and it just seems strange that it would just suddenly go up to 40 when the majority of the road is 35. So that's all I have.
So the majority of the road is 30.
30, even better, thank you.
Partial of the road in certain areas 15. It is 40 miles per hour from 517 up until I believe Radcliffe or Graphic.
It's right in there, yeah.
During school hours in the school zone is 25. These speed limits go back a long, long time. We've done many studies on West Mountain Road. We highly enforce that road. It's used as a cut-through road from Route 15 to 517 to 94. Obviously, if there's speeders or there's violations out there, we will enforce, and we do.
Okay. So there's nothing specific that you can point to as to why it's 40 there?
Before my time.
Okay. Can that be addressed? Can that be brought down to 30?
I could look into that, but I'm really not sure the procedure for that, but I could definitely look into
Okay,
that.
so that's my request, just because there's so many people that walk that road. I mean, even on Facebook, I see people complaining or even worrying about people that are not walking with bright lit clothing. There's kids with e-bikes now, other bikes. It seems to be more traveled lately with pedestrians and bikes, and dogs and so on and so forth. So that's just something I would like to request to be looked at. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, Kat Mateo again. I hear a lot of comments and questions tonight that have to do with a lot of thorny legal issues. I am a licensed attorney, and I kind of just wanted to come up here and just, for my other residents, just say, be patient with these folks, right? They are dealing with a lot of very complicated issues that, unfortunately, sometimes they do have to look to state guidance, different legislation that is not necessarily federal, but local. We understand that most of you are doing this. You're donating your time. You're not getting paid to be here. And you're trying to do your best for our town. Our town is fantastic. And I think, unfortunately, today's meeting doesn't seem to reflect that in the comments. And I hate for you guys to walk away and just get beaten up every time, because it's a thankless job, I'm sure. I love this town. Everyone that I've interacted with has been engaged and interested, and all the way from, the police to the fire folks have all been fantastic. Up in Chapel Hill, we've had a couple situations. Just even this summer, there was a fire that started on a tree by a power line that was close. The police came immediately. I mean, we called, it was probably a 2-minute response time. The fire folks came immediately after. Everyone in this town has been so engaged. They want to do the right thing. So just to everybody else who's here, let's be patient with these folks. They mean well. I know that sometimes, people are going to be disappointed with decisions that are made, whether that be votes that you're making, folks aligning and not aligning at different times, but harassing you guys is not appropriate. You're trying to do your best. We see that in the town. That's why everybody stays here. If everybody really hated it, folks would have left. The attrition would be high, and that's just not the case. Our town is amazing. All of you have been a part of that. You contribute as, residents yourselves, as folks who want to do the right thing. I know the police, I can't say enough. My husband is in law enforcement, so we have seen firsthand just how engaged, responsive, on the road, visible. You guys are doing the right thing. So I think today's crowd maybe doesn't reflect that, and folks may be a little angry, but that just means come to more meetings, right? Vote, get involved, because you will see that they are trying to do the right thing, and in some ways they are tied by, legislation and different things. And let me back my attorney over here. He's doing the right thing. I know that, lawyers, we spend a lot of time looking into all kinds of different laws just to be licensed with the state and to pass the bar. So let's give a little respect to our attorney. I know that he's, looking at the right things and doing the right things. And unfortunately, he will sometimes come with an outcome that is not in your, specific favor. But you guys are doing the right thing. So kudos to you guys. A lot of us appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you at other meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny Derricks, tap into Sparta. Oops. Couple of quick things, some not so quick. Mr. Zepp, in follow-up with what Mr. Finkel asked, and I was going to do this anyway, just to give you a heads up for the next meeting, can we get, for the next meeting, for the hearing of ordinance 2516, the change from this year, are all the positions that are listed on that lengthy list, are they all filled? Or is there an intention to fill them if they're currently empty? And that's just it for that. Thank you. Is Edelweiss under appeal? Have they formally appealed? won't changing the process to fill vacancies on statutory and other boards, won't that require an ordinance, or at least an ordinance change? The ordinances as they are written for zoning and planning, I admit I didn't look at environmental, do note vacancies and how that vacancies are an appointment. So wouldn't, if you're going to expand that process, wouldn't that need to be codified in our ordinances? The cannabis question about the state law, Mr. Dash, maybe you can back me up on this. When any ordinance is passed, isn't it 20 days until it goes into effect?
Correct.
And so when the referendum process took place and the petitions were handed in, didn't that initiate its own timeline for holding that in abeyance or borrowing, whatever the proper legal term is?
I think that's generally correct.
So then there are three, at least that I'm aware of, two at least, or possibly three different timelines that then get brought into play. You have the qualification of the petitions themselves, and you have two other stages of the process. In this case, it was moot because the cannabis petition was in itself defective because you can't have land use changed by a referendum. However, in the interim and while that time bar was still in effect, so in other words, while that ordinance was still being held in abeyance, the council took action to extend the time that that ordinance went into effect until January. Is that not correct?
That's generally correct.
So then we're not in jeopardy, theoretically, or as far as we know, or as much as you can tell us tonight, that it is a law because Sparta took steps in accordance with the Faulkner and Municipal Land Use Law of New Jersey to hold it in abeyance and then take the proper steps to then move the date of effectiveness of that ordinance to the following year.
Council, I would just caution you, that's a long question involving a legal issue. And now may not be the appropriate time. It's up to you, but I'm just telling you as a fellow member of the bar, be careful how you try to bind the
The
township.
intent behind changing the ordinance date, effective date, that was done in accordance with the law at the time. The abeyance of the existing law, and it was changed, and all of that was done with the intent to follow the law. So is that still the case?
Yes, the council has always followed the law with respect to any ordinances that it passed.
So as far as we're concerned in Sparta, the cannabis ordinance has been held in abeyance until a new start date of January, regardless of what happens with the vote.
That's a reasonable interpretation.
Mr. Zapp, what's going on with the landfill?
Still there. It's a slow process of transferring the parcels that we are donating. DEP is requesting that a survey of meets and bounds for each parcel be done. And Doug Dykstra is actually helping me with the process so the DEP can accept the parcels. So it's moving along ever so slowly.
Do we have an expectation or some type of a general timeline when this will be completed, and maybe we can understand when we're going to get some money out of this process?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not comfortable in speculating on a timeline right now.
Thank you. Do you have an answer to the question about the ordinance change, the requirement for an ordinance change for filling vacancies?
That's a legal question that I'm not at liberty or have prepared to answer.
Beth Broderick, North Shore. This might be a question for you, Chief. Has Lake Mohawk spoken to you about changing the traffic for where they take the West Shore Bridge out?
Can you say that a little bit louder, please?
Traffic, has Lake Mohawk reached out to you about traffic for when they take the West Shore Trail Bridge out?
Yeah, general talks. Obviously waiting for them to have a timeline on when they are expected to get started.
Okay, and then another question. I believe there used to be, and I don't know if this, Roxanne, this may be for you, there used to be a list of people that applied for different positions on the boards, like town, I'm sorry, not town, but planning, zoning, and environmental. Does that list still exist?
You mean a public list?
Yeah, like when people apply and say, hey, I'd like zoning to be my first choice, library to be my second, like this board or that board, first, second, third, if they want to apply.
I don't recall us having an actual public list. When they apply, it ends up, you
Like
know.
in a database, and that still exists, right?
But yeah, but it's not advertised. It's just,
Okay.
they're just advertised, they're just, excuse me, volunteering.
Okay,
And
the-
then council has to consider.
Okay, the reason I ask is if there are people that have applied for the planning, zoning, and anything else that would possibly, like, or if anyone else applied for the open positions, will all of them now be subject to the interview process, assuming that goes through?
Well, you're saying,
So if there are,
yeah, anyone who wants to try to, we'll see if we can agree on a process, but my view of it is anyone who's applying for a currently vacant position would go under the process that we've announced that you would have.
So my
Either an
question-
executive session or in open session, an interview process with the council.
So my question is, if, I don't know, obviously wouldn't have access to any kind of, list or collection of people that have applied, but let's say that you applied to be on planning 4 years ago. Now that there's an open position for planning, if you were Joe resident, would you also be subject to the interview process that you proposed at the last meeting? Or is that just for people that applied recently?
No, it's for so I think what the confusion is you're having, I think, is you're trying to tie it with the date of the application. Date of the application, frankly, is irrelevant. It's, if you were seeking an open position, a current open position on either zoning board or planning board, it's the proposal that you would come before the council, even whether you applied 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago, even though we probably don't even have records of it's only 2 years, right?
2 years are
Yeah.
only,
So
application only good for 2 years.
it's when you applied, doesn't matter.
That's what I was getting at. I
yeah.
wanted to make sure that if there were like 3 people that wanted planning and or zoning, that they would be subject to the same guidelines that you proposed, and it wasn't just a new thing, or hey, these 3 applications came in, or 2, whatever the number is.
Yeah, and I think that's why, and you've identified why we'd have to do it for everyone, whether you applied 5 minutes ago or 2 years ago, you'd all undergo that same process. Some people we'd have to contact and see if they're still interested. They may not be.
Okay.
But, the process would be the same for everyone. It wouldn't be, well, you applied 3 years ago, therefore you don't have to go through this process that someone applied 15 minutes ago has to go through.
Okay, and then my last question is, because it's 2-2, there's an even number on council right now. Is it realistic to think that we would not have an answer on next steps for filling those positions until after the November election when we have a 5th person on the board, on council?
Well, we're going to work to try to make that happen beforehand. I can endeavor to try to do that without having to wait for a 5th council person. I hope we can, but I'm only 1 vote. I'm not 3 votes.
Okay, because I think the election is when's the election, Mark?
November 4th.
All right, because it just seems like, we'd have to, we're putting it on hold and then get everything sorted out. Just seems like a huge delay process I still have 42 seconds. It just seems like we should address this before the election, if at all possible, and hopefully all 4 of you can come to some kind of grown-up resolution and stop with the nonsense and make sure that we're doing what's best for the town and best for people, even the people that are on this dais that may or may not be qualified to be up on the dais.
Thank you, Beth. Margie and I do not know what the motive or their reason for the delay, and this interview process seems to be a unilateral decision by the mayor.
Okay. Beth, we get it. I understand. I agree with you. I understand. I understand it's frustrating, and believe me, I would like to get it filled sooner rather than later. We're not trying to run out the clock, trying to delay. Believe me, we've already tried to make efforts to fill the Class 2. I want to fill these positions. We're not trying to run it out. So I agree, and I hope this council can work together to reach a resolution for these appointments even before the November election. I hope we can do that.
You know, we got a quorum here tonight. I make a motion that we appoint Beth Broderick to the zoning board, seat number 1. Second? Go ahead. You sure? Agenda subject to change.
I will second that.
Now, why Beth Broderick? Beth Broderick attends almost all of the town council meetings, many of the planning board meetings, if not all of them, and many of the zoning meetings. She's active, she's interested, she's fair, she's balanced, she seems to be very interested in helping the community. And that's the reason I believe Beth Broderick would be an excellent person for the zoning board, for seat number 1 or designation number 1. And if you really look into the ordinance, we were tripped up here by a technicality, but really, once the council voted you in, right? Once there was a 2-to-1 vote, right? It's the mayor's decision who is number 1 and who is number 2. And the fact that we didn't declare it is just a technicality that they're using to delay this, right? It says clearly in the law that the mayor makes the number 1 and number 2 decision. And this has been just a delay tactic, dancing around the law by Neil and Dean, and we just don't know why.
Hey, Mark.
Are you finished?
Mark, this is-
Because that's
I think you're
incorrect.
incorrect.
Yeah, you had
Go back
legal
vote.
advice from the planning attorney who gave the instruction on the zoning appointments. It wasn't me, it wasn't Mr. Dash, it was the planning board attorney, so.
Why
I don't
wouldn't
know
we
where
have
you're-
the
I don't know where
zoning
you're-
board
I
attorney?
don't know where you're coming up with that it was my interpretation or my role. That's contrary to legal, that advice that you got. So, in any event, we have a motion and a second. I just want to make sure, so we don't get tripped up. Is that a correct motion? Did he do it properly this time?
Yes, it was designating her as the alternate number 1.
Okay, so we have a motion for alternate 1 for Beth Broderick. And so we have a second, and then we'll do it as a roll call.
All right, roll call. Councilman
I have a
Scott.
question.
Okay?
How many other candidates do we have in the last 2 years for this position?
I don't have that number in front of me, Councilman Blumetti. We have a couple of applications for that.
Okay.
Any other questions, Dean?
No, I prefer that we work out the process and hear all the candidates and review them rather than just do one.
Yeah,
My preference.
that's mine as well, but we have a
So should
valid.
we wait until you two create a process?
No, we will.
We've been waiting for a long time. We've been waiting for the 2 weeks that Dean Blumetti said we were going to have a town council person. That was 3 months ago. And now we're waiting again to put people that want to help, that want to work, that want to volunteer their time on the zoning board, on the planning board. And to have this delay because of cannabis is just preposterous. Thank you.
Well, one, are you not in favor of the process that we've identified? And if you're not, I think you owe it to your fellow people to explain why. Why do you not want a process whereby members on these very important boards come before the council and we all get to see why they want to be on the council and why on the boards? Are you opposed to that and why?
Well, at the time of the vote, there were two applicants. There was Beth Broderick and Adrian Meerman, two people at the time of the vote. And then we voted, and then we get this legal runaround. And so that was the process. There was two people, there was two seats, and then we were told, well, we didn't declare who was number one and number two. I'm declaring Beth Broderick number one.
I think the question was, why are you opposed to the process that we've identified? I think it would be
Why are
helpful.
we changing that in the midstream?
I think you should, is that why you're opposed to it? Because you're saying that's not the process that we followed before? I'm just
It was not the process we followed before.
Okay, and so,
And why are we changing when all of a sudden these positions were open? The chair of the zoning board asked for help, wanting people on the board, and all of a sudden we have two applicants, and then you make them come up with an idea that we should interview, and it's not been done in
well,
how many years?
I think you'll recall that you made the motion without notifying your fellow council member that you intended to do so.
I don't
And so
think
in
that
order
there's,
to-
we had a quorum.
I-
We had a quorum.
May I
Neil.
finish, please? Thank you.
Oh, certainly,
Okay.
Your Honor.
So in order to prevent what happened a month ago for these very important boards, we have identified a process. You say you don't want to go through that process. You'd rather just get a motion out of the way and get it done. I understand that. And so I think that's where we are.
Why
which
do you
is
want the process?
because
all
I-
of a sudden?
Why do you want the process all of a sudden?
It's not, well, one is because all of a sudden means because apparently we haven't been able to follow simple rules of decorum and professional practice that you notify your fellow council members before you intend to make a motion for appointment. That's how it's done. And so in light of
Is
that,
that part of Robert's Rules of Order?
But-
I never saw that in there. Is this Neil's
no,
decorum?
no, this is how it's been practiced. I know that you're relatively new to this position.
I
You
am
probably
new.
don't
I am
understand
new.
those type of processes. However, in light of that, in light of this motion that you made to appoint someone without identifying your fellow council members,
Which
it was-
is
it
not
was-
against the rule, and it's not an ethics violation, as you like to often
Okay,
charge
well,
me with.
I'm trying to explain to you why we're doing it this way.
Okay.
Okay, may I finish?
Please.
Okay. And so also, as we have found, these are very important positions to have, right? And I think that what has been demonstrated is that more vetting is necessary than has been currently accustomed. And by going through the process of every council person having the opportunity to meet the person, to talk to them, to explain why, I think that's a reasonable process to undergo, which was brought on because we were ambushed with a planning board, a zoning board appointment. That's why. And if you want to understand why we're doing that process, that is why. But I also understand
So this is
you don't agree
payback?
with that. No, it's that, Mark, I think you should try to comport yourself in a dignified manner without trying to characterize your fellow council member's position. Okay? I know it's easy. I know that makes you feel good, but it's not effective. Okay, I'm trying to explain a process to you of why we're doing what we're doing.
Great.
So there you are. We don't have an agreement over the process. We have a motion, we have a second, so why don't we take a vote on Beth Broderick as alternate one for the zoning board?
Councilman Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Blumetti,
No.
Deputy Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
No.
There you have it, folks. Woman's been to every meeting in the past 3 or 4 years. But she may not be qualified.
Okay. All right, I think we're at the conclusion. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to say one thing, Chief. I'd like to thank you extremely, very, very appreciative that for the Hanging with the Heroes, that we get a lot of people out there, get all you have signs made, you have flyers made, and it's on the website. And thank you so much for the donation for the Sparta Community Food Pantry. because we are in desperate need as we support all the other towns in Sussex County, and they have been coming to us for help more and more and more, and we just don't have enough to help them out. So thank you very much.
And sir, I have thanked you privately. I do appreciate the police response to the past week, the extra patrols, the threat assessments that you've undertaken. I appreciate that. My family appreciates it. And we're very fortunate to have the police force that we do. So thank you.
Sir, if I just say one thing, there's a lot going on, not just in this town, across the country. Policing is much different. A lot of people think that we just go over and go out and pull over cars, and that's not the case. You know, the men and women in Sparta Police Department are the best. I'm saying it not just because I'm their chief, because I know it. I see what they do every day. We have 16 schools in this town, public and private, plenty of preschools out there. These officers are out there walking through these schools every day to make sure that our students and the staff are safe, making sure that our employees here are safe, making sure that anybody that visits our town are safe. And they do it with pride, and then they do it with the best professionalism that I've ever seen. And you could thank me, but I think we should thank them because they're the ones that are out there walking the beat and doing it. And they're doing it without a question. Whether they're going through a school, stopping a car, or they're going taking a complaint about parking. They're going to do it and they're going to be there. That's going to continue to happen. So thank them.
And that's why we're the safest town in New Jersey. Thank you.
And I will conclude with, I would advise, I've seen a lot about contacting people's employers about, maybe statements that they've made in an attempt to get them fired. Be very careful about that. People who, before you do that, I would recommend that you read the cyber harassment statute. Also read that people have a property interest in their employment. And so if you read the statute and it says that threats to people's property done through cyber, you're bumping up a very dangerous road, one that could subject you to civil and criminal liability. And also, you probably don't want to do that to a law firm. And so I'll leave with that. Thank you.
We need a motion, Mayor. We need a motion.
May I have a
and
motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all on YouTube.